This is the activity for the Unfairness Game, but you want to make sure as you're doing this activity, do not refer to it as the Unfairness Game to the kids. It is share the pot for the kids, because we don't want them to know that the game is actually unfair and designed for everybody to lose except for the counselor. So you're going to allow your students to play for a brief amount of time. Following the rules, you're going to place maybe 1 or 2 rule sheets at each table per group so they know if they're confused. And so they're going to play while I set the timer for this particular session. It's going to be for 3 minutes. So go ahead and play.
Spade, sweet. Put piece back into the pot.
Dang it.
Spade. Woo! 4. Give a piece of candy to somebody else.
Thank you.
Back into the pot.
And if you're doing this with groups, you're going to hover around the room and monitor each group. It is
Person to your left.
very important that you walk around the room and monitor each group as it's going on. So for fictional purposes, I'm monitoring this group for a while, monitoring this group for a while, monitoring this group to make sure that all the groups are following the rules. And it's very critical that you monitor all of the groups.
Club. Give a piece pin.
Yes.
Left. To your right. Nice.
Back to you.
To the right.
Also, at some point, you are going to, in addition to monitoring the groups, you're going to hop into each game temporarily. So
4.
I'm going to take my opportunity to hop in between Allison and Colin. 2. I will give a piece of candy to another player. I didn't get my 5 pieces. So there you go.
Thank you.
3. That's a good roll, Colin. Don't worry, you'll get it back.
Diamond. Back in.
It's all right, Devin. You'll get another piece of candy.
Person on my left. Nice. 6. Someone else. Ooh. Oh, take somebody. She's out.
I'll take a card this time. Club.
Give a piece of candy to the person to your left.
To my left. Here you go, Colin. I really like the red ones, but I hope you enjoy the red ones. Then I graciously take my exit, do the game with a bunch of other groups, making sure key that I display good sportsmanship in each game that I go to.
How's yours?
Oh, yeah,
She's
you
out.
get to go. 4. Give a piece of candy to another player.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, time is up. Everybody. All right. Devin, how many pieces of candy did you end up with?
5.
Allison, how about you?
7.
Colin? 4. Trelena, how many pieces of candy did you end up with?
None.
Obviously, the game is meant that it's almost an impossibility that all students will end up with the same amount of candy, as the game is rigged and the deck is stacked with only 2 clubs, which allow spades to allow to gain candy. Everything else is pretty much you lose candy. So someone like Trelena is bound to be eliminated from the game. Now, as I alluded to earlier, the reason that you want to be involved in each game and display sportsmanship is because at the end of the game, you're going to announce that the player who gets the most candy is the player that displayed the best sportsmanship. The caveat is it's not going to go to a student. It is going to go to the counselor because you displayed the best sportsmanship. So I would announce the winner of this game actually is the person who displayed the best sportsmanship and was the nicest. And that was me. So I'll take all that candy. The winner gets all the candy. Devin,
Aw.
please hand over your candy. Oh yeah, I like the blue ones, awesome. Which upon then, obviously the children will be upset. This is where the reflection comes in, and you would ask, the first question obviously being, what if I told you this game was not the share the pot game, it was the unfairness game, in hopes of getting students' reflection. Like, I happened to notice that Devin did not realize that the deck was stacked until I just said it. What was your reaction upon hearing that?
Yeah, that was unfair because the two people that got the spades, no one else had the option of pulling from the pot.
And so hopefully your students will be able to reflect and understand that the game isn't fair. Obviously, with such an activity, we want to exhibit to students how to behave with good sportsmanship, how to adjust to the fact that not all situations in life that they're going to be a part of are going to be fair. And this is just a microcosm example of ways that you can teach them how to be able to reflect and adjust so that a student isn't flipping the pot over because they're not getting candy or walking away because they feel like they're being cheated, or a student has no candy and gets very upset. Depending your school district, if you're using candy, you want to make sure that at the end of the game, regardless of how sad the students are, you keep the candy. You exit the room after your lesson and you keep the candy. However, you can come back, what you want to do there is emphasize that it's the unfairness game. You won, you keep the candy. But at a later time in the day or a later date, you can come back, and if your school allows the sharing of treats with students, then you can give them the candy. But you have to keep the candy in order to emphasize the unfairness aspect of the game. Finally, with that notion of some schools not accepting treats, an easy replacement for this would be a bunch of small trinkets or toys from the dollar store or something along those lines where kids will still be entertained and you won't get in trouble for giving your students candy. And that is the unfairness game.